to you by
the Patreon supporters of Crowdfunding Hell. Click on the link below in the description for this video and become a patron of Crowdfunding Hell. A lot can be said about crowdfunding. Most of it, particularly in the early days, was the idea that crowdfunding was designed around the idea of, well, a better mousetrap. The old saying that if you build a better mousetrap, people will beat a path to your door to help get rid of their mice, until better mice come along, of course. And that was the way it was in the early days. It gave a platform to people that wouldn't ordinarily have been able to ever get a hearing for their ideas, and it would let the marketplace decide. An analogy that I like to use is that it was very much like, well, book publishing. Think of how many rejections we read about now for authors like Stephen King or J.K. Rowling. Rowling, in fact, had her Harry Potter stories rejected no less than 12 times before somebody finally took a chance on them, and the rest is history. So it is with crowdfunding in the earliest days. And a good case in point, though, and this is why a physical product might be a little different from, say, writing a book, the Safe Helmet Bubble Hat. And you'll see why I say that in just a moment. This one has been on Kickstarter and just doesn't seem to be able to gain any kind of traction. Let's take a look at the video and maybe you can see why. The story was inspired by auto racing, where its creator, Shannon Irons, built what they called a safe helmet, also known as cage hat bubble hat, for use in American football or other necessary applications. For many years, auto racing was exceptionally dangerous. In the last 20 years, many safety features have been added and countless lives saved. That's true. If you look at football, for instance, they went from essentially no helmets through various iterations to the ones that we have now. What you saw in the video is the one that Shannon Irons came with, and it's really kind of interesting because it tends to make everyone that uses it look like a bobblehead. Now, Shannon grew up working on cars. He has a BA in communication from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo State College. He supposedly helped launch the Speed Channel in 1996, now called Fox Sports 1, as an equipment manager and camera operator. He watches auto races every weekend. And then here's the kicker, his better mousetrap. 5 years ago, he knew he could build a better head protection system for American-style football that was as good as all the systems you see in auto racing today. In other words, this isn't his first rodeo for this particular product he developed. This is something on the lines of, the 7th or 8th iteration of him trying to get funding and push out there this same product. There is a classic definition that's always used for insanity, and that is if you do the same thing over and over again, and you're still not able to have it catch fire, it may be time for you to, toss in the towel. I feel very sorry for Shannon Irons. He's going to probably continue time and time and time again to get his bubble-headed helmet off the ground. But by now, you would think that he had learned his lesson. That's why, well, he's still in crowdfunding hell. The crowdfunding hell prison workshop. You too can own something that has been fashioned lovingly by the gnarled hands of our inmates. They say it's better to light one candle rather than curse the darkness. Taking that to the extreme of modern technology, this is Lumiere. It's an interesting kind of light, and I guess there's a scientific principle behind it. And the idea is that in certain parts of the world, there's no access to electricity. So, what they did is they claimed to have something where you take cooking oil of just about any kind, put it into a reservoir in your home, your campsite, or in an off-grid area, and then you basically light it. Once it's in that reservoir, and as that heats up or lights up or something, you can then place some kind of a chimney-like flute over it. Once that's in place, it traps the flames, and the heat from it then allows you to plug in an LED light source, and after a few moments, you've got LED lighting. I have absolutely no idea whether or not this thing really works. It is not the first product of this type from this company. The first one was called Lumiere C. This, I believe, is called Lumiere K. It comes from a Korean firm, and they're showing it in use in different places here. Now, I don't know whether this is something that we really should get involved with. It certainly seems like a high-tech solution. How can I put this? Is a candle not just as good as the Lumiere? I don't know. Maybe you can answer me in the comments. But the interesting thing about this is that I have totally not been able to find any reviews that show the thing in action, in use. And you would think that something like this, which is supposed to be so wonderful and so good, would have reviews, because after all, the first campaign, the Lumiere C, which uses a candle instead of the oil reservoir to produce the flame, is for sale on Amazon. And on Amazon, there are absolutely no reviews. And it's one of the reasons why this one is in the first stages of being introduced to crowdfunding hell.
Brought to you by
YouTube, which reminds you to subscribe and hit that bell to be notified of any new videos that come out on crowdfunding hell. And now from the OK Millennials portion of crowdfunding hell, we're going to look at something that is designed for people that are incredibly inept and probably should never be allowed near an open flame. Yes, utilizing the incredible power found in a smartphone, they'll discover a way of actually lighting a candle. Never mind that this has been done successfully and without mishap by human beings for thousands of years, if not at least hundreds. They've come up with a means of crowdfunding candles that can be lit through an app on your smartphone. How ridiculous is that? And they can't even manage to make you understand that, well, it's not even really a safety measure. If you can light candles with your smartphone, that means that anybody that has your smartphone or perhaps the code from your smartphone could light those candles at any time, which makes this a wonderful fire starter for arsonists throughout the world. Let's not forget that since this is crowdfunded, they've arranged that only the crowdfunders could sell you replacement candles, because they're not going to be around forever, are they? And what happens if the campaigners don't make it and stop making those replacement candles? I guess they'll be wonderful paperweights. But they got most of their funding, and they're probably going to be able to try and put something out there. But frankly, this one definitely belongs in crowdfunding hell.